everybody, welcome back to the Bill and Ray Show. I'm out in the torch shop and I've got a plan for today's marble. Wrote a whole bunch of notes. Let's see if we can put something together here. So today I'm contemplating doing various fumed elements and putting them together in layers. And some of this may be a little bit similar to something I've done before. But the first thing I think I need to do is to pull out some clear stringer, because I'm going to need quite a few pieces of fairly thin, maybe sort of about 1.5 millimeters or so stringer. So I'm pulling this out of kind of a larger rod, but sometimes this seems kind of the most efficient way to make a bunch of stringer. So this thick stuff, you kind of keep pulling and pulling after it's after you add it out of the flame. It's retaining quite a bit of heat. You can keep pulling out quite a distance. Figure out whether I like underhand or overhand on this operation. Well, how's everybody doing? We're doing really good here. We had some hot July, and just recently we had some weather came through. Got quite a bit of rain, which is always a really welcome sight. But the strange thing, the wonderful thing, is it cleared out all the smoke. We had a lot of smoke sitting in the valley, and most of it from Northern California and Oregon and Idaho, and not a whole lot produced right here locally. And yesterday, I guess it was, we were making a run into town, and the air in the valley was about as clear as you will ever see it. It's really quite astounding. And it's still quite clear right now. I don't really expect that to last for a long time, but we'll take it. But I had been kind of used to hunkering down already for fire season, and haven't been out looking at the stars lately, but last night I decided I should get out there. It's clear. The moon is not an issue in the sky, so it's pretty nice dark skies, and had a really nice evening last night out with the telescope, so I'm kind of running on not much sleep. But hopefully the little star cluster that I was imaging last night will be at the end of this video. I don't think it'll take very much processing to make that a usable image. It's just a star field, but an area that I don't think I've gotten to take an image of before. Okay, I think this will be the last piece I make for right now of this thin clear stringer. Alright, put this guy aside. Okay, now we're going to pick a handle. And I'm going to make a little flat end, a Mariah, if you will. Doesn't need to be very large. And we are going to put a piece of this 3mm clear rod in the center to give us some mechanical stability. And then I'm going to figure out how long I'm going to make these things. I'll try and just cut this piece in half and use it for both the silver section and the gold section. Okay, now comes the funky part of my assembly. Going to put as many clear stringers as I can and build an open structure. That one went kind of a funny angle. Let's see, can I clean that one up? Eek. Be careful where you're in the flame there. Let's see. Add a few more. Yeah, it's getting hard to see with all these different layers, but that's quite a few layers. I think that hopefully will accomplish what I'm looking to do. So this next step, I want to put some silver fume on this. And I say some, but I want a lot. There it is. Okay. You can guess what the next step is. Let's see. I should try and get my big flame. Sorry for all that crazy noise. So we're going to condense this in a pretty random fashion. So I'm not trying to twist any particular direction, just trying to get this to collapse down. So this particular stage, I don't think I've done, regardless of these videos, I don't think I've done this step right here before. Like so many of my patterns and designs that I kind of fall back into, a lot of kind of organic design elements, not looking to produce some precision geometric pattern, just trying to get something that might look a little bit more like outer space or inner space or imaginary space. And of course it's all encapsulated in a very perfect form, the sphere, which has a very deep universal appeal through human history. So now for condensing that down into kind of a chaotic pattern, I'm going to draw this out. And we'll see how that works out in the, this will be kind of a background, well, yeah. It'll be the second layer back. Now that's some pretty dense fume. It's going to make hopefully some pretty dense clouds, but it's not going to fill up everything in the design. So hopefully its presence will be there, but you can look around it. Now, sort of want to keep a handle on here, but not this long. So, cut this off. Now this is what I don't like, is to have a piece that's hot on two ends. I'll set this over here. Okay, we're going to build something like that again with gold fuming. Okay, we'll take our little section we had from before. I think this worked pretty good to use this 3mm to kind of make a stable core. See. Well, that attachment fell off. Alright, come back here. Wow, this is a lot of fiddle-de-dee. Wasn't intended. These are long. Because this is kind of a random cage, it allows us to kind of throw down whatever we want here. It isn't too picky. Alright, this one's not quite so pretty, but... Oops. Okay, before I screw it up anymore, let's go on to a gold fuming. Okay. Here we go again. Collapse this down. Yeah, this should be interesting. Got most of the air out of there. See one bubble in particular, but okay, I'm trying to draw this out. Alright. Well, so far so good, as I like to say. This will work. Whew, alright. Okay, I need one more. I had one more idea for another piece that I probably won't use much. So, I'm going to try this silver nitrate again. And I have this graphite plate that I've used before, so there's a little spot here with some remnants of the last time I used this. So can heat up a little piece of the rod, pick up some of that silver nitrate, and can put clear over it. What am I trying to say? Case it with clear. Okay, pick some of that up. Some of these scraps out of here. Okay, well, we've made the right amount of that little stringer stuff. We used most of that up. Probably use very little of this in the finished build-up. Okay, is that everybody all the way around? And this little piece, I'll pull this out. I think this I actually want pulled out pretty small. It's quite dense. Okay. And that's our main parts I was going to put inside. So we will proceed to our main rod. So last Saturday we had a wedding we went to that was being held out in a field stone's throw away from our house. And it was a neighbor and the daughter, his friends and my daughter growing up. They're not real close anymore, but it was a lovely service out in the middle of a field. We had catered lots of good food and definitely a party crowd, lots of drinking. We left at a respectable hour and party rolled on past midnight. But the weather had really cooperated. It wasn't terribly hot that afternoon, which it wasn't as hot as I thought it would be. And the smoke wasn't too bad, although it was getting worse as the evening wore on. I guess I partied like that when I was younger, but man, those guys were just crazy. It's not a matter of whether I can and can't keep up with that, I just don't have the desire to do that. They shot off some fireworks around 10:30 or something. When I got up at 12:30, they were still going at it. All right. We went to the wedge shape. It was our first application of some of this fume stuff, where typically I would fume this phase and put clear on it. I'm just going to go to putting this fumed stuff right on this base. This is cooled off a little bit. So, it's another one of those situations where how much How much is the right amount? So this is a lot of clear, which is the core of the marble and allows you to see down into it. So try and keep this kind of an open arrangement. Hopefully we have kind of bands. This next phase of twisting this up is going to determine a lot in how this turns out. So we're going to heat these in and form our wedge shape again. This next little stretch is always a tricky one, but I also want to maintain this starting shape. Hopefully that's smoothed in. Okay, starting at the thick side. And as we did last week, aim here is to fold. Should get that face to fold in. Airplane outside. The helicopters running around this morning. I'm sure they're out scouting for any new fire starts or checking to see the ones that we've had, if they're settled down or what's going on. Okay. Now I need to try and kind of bring this back shoulder thickened up and trying to reconfigure this little section where we have kind of the clear lens portion out here on the rod. I'm trying to get the bulk of this fume pattern into the cone for our vortex effect. So kind of bringing this falling back on itself here. I'll let that set up a second. And then we can kind of start on this shoulder. The process of making these fume pieces ahead of time rather than directly applying the fume as I often would, trying to get some more detail, some more intricate designs. And you know, to try things like this, it may come out and show interesting detail, or it may just kind of lose that. It's difficult to know when you try these modifications of a pattern whether it's going to work out the way you want or if it's going to be overwhelmed. But anyway, now in this phase I wanted to do three wraps with this gold fume. Okay, so try and kind of visualize moving off at 120 degrees, which that's not. Maybe need to do 4 lines. I was going to do 3, but these two got a little close together. Yeah, this is kind of, again, sort of the organic concept of when I'm sort of trying to make something. It isn't perfectly regular. I should have done the 3 dots. If you're trying to do a pattern like that, come along with the clear dots on the edge and try and just make your, whether it's 3, 5, whatever, make your pattern. I thought I could just whip that out easy, but I should have been a little more methodical about it. A couple little bubbles, we'll just leave those for effect. Okay, well that was these 2 fumed prefab pieces, and I think that went the way I like. Now this, I was going to add a little bit of accents. Okay, let's see if that can be seen in the final project. Okay, so the background is going to be black frit and then red base. Kind of give this some heat. So, we've got graphite plates and foil. And we'll frit. So we got our glass pretty good and hot. And then we're going to try and just fold this and get just like a single layer application. And then we're going to heat that in. You need some dark color in order to give the fume a backing, and you just really won't see much of anything. Get serious here. All right. Let's see. figure which one do I want to go with here? So I'm going to draw this red on. And quite often the first pass or two I do up tight to the last one. And then I break away and leave a gap. Oh, you know what? I forgot. I should be consulting my instructions. Wow. We're going to put some gold fume onto that backing underneath the red. I like this reflective effect in the background. It looks quite different whether it's covered with black or cobalt or red or dark blue. Alright, glad I caught that. This may or may not be a good idea, but I'll try and tag onto this piece of stringer. Yes, that's what I thought. That may not work very good. So I'm trying to kind of push this into the valley between the lines now. And pushing causes stringers to break. Alright, let's see if we can melt this in and try to cover everything. So we're kind of putting some pressure on there to smush that color around and fill in the cracks. Alright, we got a pretty good point on there. Ooh, little pieces and parts. Need some filler rod now. One more time, I gotta remember to do an effect here. Do some silver on the back here. I need a mug of marble water. Alright. Proceed on. I saw someone posting online saying they had ashes coming down on their yard or on their car or whatever. Like, oh yeah? That's pretty typical. Where there's fire, there's smoke. Where there's smoke, there's ashes. They can carry a long ways. I know they were concerned about, does this, mean that there's a fire close to me? And actually, those ashes can carry for miles and miles. Right now, most of the West U.S. is dealing with fires and smoke. Oops. I got the fume on here so thick that this this clear is not wanting to pull off of it. If your base isn't hot enough, clear has a tendency to treat that metal fume layer as kind of a barrier. Sometimes it'll just kind of peel right back up. Well, we had a missing hen, gosh, now 3 weeks ago. I looked all over the place for her. Didn't see any feathers. Couldn't really, and I was home the day that she didn't make it back to the coop, and I've been looking and looking and looking, and when we take our dog out to walk the dog, she's been stopping right at our entry in this one spot. And I figure most of the time she's like sniffing a mouse, whatever. Don't pay that much attention to whatever she's sniffing, because it's God knows what. But somehow, just a couple days ago, she was kind of doing this behavior. Well, we were out when it was dark, that's right. And I had my little headlight thing on. And I thought I saw this little flash of some color in the bushes. Underneath this rose bush, anyway, this hen has been hunkered down right by our entry, which is just right where we have some raised rock garden kind of areas, and there's a pond there. So she's just a couple feet away from the pond. She's been hunkered down there for 3 weeks or something now. And of course sitting on a pile of eggs, which I wouldn't trust them for nothing at this point. I kind of figured she'd show up sooner or later, but it just is so funny. She's just right there, right next to our door. But it's not the first time that our dog has found a wayward hen hiding under the bushes. Last night when I was out with the telescope, I've got a cot that I'm laying down with a light sleeping bag, and I always hear all kinds of noises out there. Sometimes there's owls or whatever, and always, of course, deer around someplace, so turned on my little headlight at one point, and sure enough there's like 3 deer that are just pretty close to me, and they weren't even all that spooked by having a light on them. And when you hear munching noises in the dark, you still wonder, who is that munching? Yeah, it looks kind of messy, but see what happens when we melt it down. And drew out the very end tip. And I'm kind of letting it fall back. And it starts expanding that circumference between the colored side and the clear side. It's a little too crazy. Okay. Now, for the back side colors, we've got black and aqua blue and root beer. Start with black. Okay, and then aqua. Okay. I often use root beer on the back. They come out all kinds of different colors. Usually they're kind of muted, muddled colors, but I haven't used it in a while. Somehow it struck me as a good choice. Okie doke. Alright, see how this will go. I rushed a little bit too much there. Need to slow down. Yeah, it's breaking. Okay, well, a few issues here. I think that's going to be okay. Okay, now we'll just go straight to a punty. There's a lot of excess fume blowing all over this front face. So kind of burning out some of that fume, and then we'll tear out some of that glass because that fume is embedded into the clear. we're getting there. Ready to finally remove the clear rod they've been working off of. Okay. Wow, now we're just down to shaping things up. It's funny, I had different thoughts that came to mind with this week's marble and sort of added and modified my little sketch of what I was going to do, and a lot of times I wonder, it's like, well, can I really put all these steps together and make this work? And so the steps worked. Whether it turns out pretty or not, I don't know. But I'm pretty hopeful at this point. But tried some new things. Sometimes we try something out and it may take some iterations, revisions to make that idea make sense. Okay, heat up this face and then we'll let it settle down a bit. I think it went along the lines of what I was hoping to do, so that's a win. I do a lot with gold and silver fuming, but I really enjoy. It's challenging. I'm still, I see other people's work that's just fantastic, and I'm a long ways from mastering different colors or patterns or whatever. Especially the colors, and people go through a lot of exotic steps, but fume behaves very differently, whether it's thin blown piece, something the scale of a pendant, or something the scale of a marble, and it'll do different things on you. So some of the heat cycling things that people do is like, well, that may work on a hollow piece that's only a few millimeters thick in glass, but yeah, it will not work on a big marble. Or if you figured out how to make it work, let me know, but you can't get the temperature cycling, ramping from one temperature to another fast enough inside the interior of the marble is usually the issue. So you get crystal growth that happens more randomly. Random crystal growth tends to make muddy color. Okay, going into the marble mold, straight on, edge on, flat. I'm so thankful to anyone who's hanging out watching this video at this point. I realize most people are going to skip through the video and may or may not hear me talk about different things. I wasn't quite as chatty today. My voice feels a little hoarse. But I hope if people have questions, shoot me a question in the comments. Try and help where I can if people want to work on some of these things on their own. I'm putting it all out there, so free to attempt to copy. I can't copy my own work. I'll have a really cool marble, even if I know exactly what went into it, how I made it. If I try and replicate it, generally it does not go very well. There's so many little subtle things that depend on the timing and torch settings. How thick the color is of the fume. So I can repeat the same technique, but the results are generally quite different. Alright, we're getting our shape pretty well done on the back side. So at this point we're going to kind of settle this in, take some of that heat out, to get the core cooled down to be stable. And these other heats are just really kind of the skin, the surface. So this is basically a flame polish stage. Come out of the heat and keep on rotating, keep on rotating. Yeah, I think this incorporated some concepts I wanted to see happen. We got some depth of effects. Switch this off to our relatively cold seal on the back side as our final connection, or hopefully our final connection. I'm sure it's warm enough outside, but thankfully this morning was nice and cool, and I'm not too miserable just now. So this front lens is pretty much out of shape at the moment. We're going to rely on this back side to help us shape it up. So we're going to drop into the mold on the back side where it's cooled off and nice and round, and get spinning, and then come up to that front face. And that usually in one move we'll get that curvature established. Now it's just a matter of getting out any tool marks. Try not to overheat at this step, because then you'll mess up that overall shaping. So we do this kind of in some stages, and let things solidify. Run through one more. I think we can call it good. Wow. Well, another fun day on the torch. Yeah, looks like I got some detail in those effects that I was kind of looking for. And that gold fume on the background is very nice and reflective. Okay, some wet tweezers on here. Throw some heat at that attachment point. Try and kind of heal that up. And I think we are good to go. Gosh, thank you guys so much for being part of this. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, whatever you're up to. This goes into the kiln. And there we go for today. Thanks so much for hanging out. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of those around you, and we are going to see you guys next time we make another marble. Take care.